My purple 1997 Ford Probe is back from the dead. Kind of. Today, let's talk about it. Now, if you're a longtime viewer of my channel, you probably remember this car, my purple 1997 Ford Probe GT. I bought this about 3 years ago, sight unseen at auction for $300. And yes, this car was destined for the crusher. This car was destined for the scrap heap. And I guess, quote, saved it. Not really sure I can say I saved it. It still looks kind of terrible. It runs pretty well now. We'll talk about that in a bit. But it still is in need of some serious love. And if you see my other videos with this car, you'll know that it hasn't exactly been an easy vehicle to work on. In fact, it's been one of the most frustrating vehicles I've ever owned to work on. The engine bay is packed tightly with a transverse mounted V6. There's really no room to work on anything. When I first got this car, it needed a new water pump, needed a whole bunch of stuff under the hood. It constantly was overheating, it had so many issues, but I just love this shape. I love this purple. Back in the day, this was a super cool car, and I think the reason why you don't see these anymore is because they were so incredibly difficult to work on and not exactly reliable. Now, there's a whole bunch of people in the know that still own these vehicles and have got them to run really well and have gotten them to be incredibly reliable. I'm not one of those people, but I will say this vehicle right now runs great. Now, previous videos with this vehicle basically consisted of me trying to get the thing to run properly. And the last video that I posted with this vehicle was basically me saying that I killed it. And with that, I thought this vehicle was done for. That catastrophically bad sound, I figured there was no way to come back from that without spending thousands of dollars. And I don't really want to spend thousands of dollars on a $300 car, as much as I love it. But as it turns out, that problem was not a catastrophic failure. It actually is fixed now. So after spending countless hours working on this car, I didn't really want to put much more time into it. So I brought it over to a mechanic that I trust, and it kind of sat at his shop for, I don't know, like 9 months. It just wasn't a priority for him. It wasn't a priority for me. And I was just sort of treating it as like free parking for my Ford Probe. But then he finally had some time to get to it, and it didn't take him very long to get this thing running beautifully again. Turns out that the overheating problem that this thing was having was because the entire exhaust was completely clogged. The catalytic converter was clogged. I mean, the whole thing was just a mess. And all of the misfires and all of those terrible sounds was just basically caused by this thing not being able to run properly because of that clogged that clogged exhaust system. I mean, there were a few other issues too, but that was the main issue. So it actually runs great now. Let me show you. There it goes. You might be wondering why, hold on one second. And you might be wondering why it's so loud. I thought, oh, I can do some exhaust work. Let me cut out that catalytic converter, weld in a new one, and then we'll be good to go. So when I started cutting out the catalytic converter, I realized that the rest of the exhaust system was just incredibly rusty, completely falling apart. I went to the back of the car, I looked at the muffler, and I thought, okay, well, it kind of needs a new muffler too. So when I cut off the muffler, the entire exhaust system came off with it. So I wasn't exactly planning on that. That's what happened. This car has zero exhaust right now. Wonderful. Okay, so here's my plan. I don't really like working on this car anymore. It's kind of bitten me in the ass far too many times. So I'm gonna bring it back to my mechanic who actually got it running properly. I'm gonna have him weld on a brand new exhaust, brand new catalytic converter. And at some point I do wanna get this painted. I want this purple paint to shine. It looks completely awful right now, but at some point, hopefully this car will sparkle and shine like it did when it was fresh off the showroom floor. In here, got new exhaust, got new headers, because why not? And the only thing I don't have is the catalytic converter, which I think I can get at AutoZone. You think it's kind of weird that you can get a catalytic converter for a 1997 Ford Probe GT at AutoZone, but I'm pretty sure they have one. Yeah, so the next step is get this car over to the shop, have them do their handiwork, and then hopefully I can actually drive this around my neighborhood without annoying everybody. All right, let's get to it.
Three days later.
Okay, so I just rode my bike over to the shop. Apparently it looks awesome, it sounds awesome, so I can't wait to check it out. This probe has been through so many ups and downs, and I just can't wait to get this thing running and driving properly again. We'll see. You know, this car loves to give me problems. This car loves to treat me wrong, but we'll see what happens. I'm trying to treat this car right. We've got a brand new exhaust on the thing. Let's check it out. And actually, before we check out my probe, I just want to take a look around the lot right here. There's so many cool projects in this lot right now. So, can you believe it? I'm driving my Ford Probe. It's running great. The exhaust is not too loud. It's not overheating. You know, the check engine light did just come on, but that's kind of a Ford Probe thing, so I'm just going to ignore it and pretend everything is perfectly fine. I mean, everything is almost perfectly fine, it seems. Knock on something, knock on wood. Yeah, so this thing is just running great. It's not making any heinous sounds. And the exhaust that we put on this thing sounds pretty decent. It's not too loud. Yeah, it actually sounds pretty good. I've always thought the Probe sounded pretty good. The KLDE motor under the hood is a really good sounding engine when it's running properly. I don't know, this has spent way more time running like crap than it has running great, but I'll just have to be thankful that this Probe is running great at this very moment. So the exhaust that I got for this vehicle, I can't even remember where I got it from, but I was just surprised that you could even still find an exhaust system that was pre-bent for a 1997 Ford Probe GT. There were a few issues with it, didn't quite fit exactly the way it should have. And the headers that I bought, those also did not fit quite right. The brackets were completely wrong. There were extra ports and stuff that weren't needed. I'm not gonna go out and recommend the system that I bought, but it's significantly better than a completely rusted out exhaust system with a clogged catalytic converter. But again, I'm just glad that this thing has an exhaust. I'm just glad that it's actually running. I'm glad that I'm not broken down on the side of the road. Again, knock on something. Because probes just kind of like to do that to you. Or at least me. I don't know if other people have better luck with probes. Anecdotal evidence shows that it's not just me. Yeah, it's kind of nice. I kind of like this car. I forgot how much I like driving this vehicle. It's been so long. But you know, the Probe is just one of those vehicles that I know it's going to bite me in the ass again. It's just a matter of when. I don't know. I think I like this car enough that I'm willing to take that risk. Thank you so much for following along with the saga of my purple Ford Probe. Hopefully more videos with this Probe coming soon that don't involve me under the hood busting my knuckles or stuck at the side of the road with an overheating engine. I'm hoping that this Ford Probe GT will allow me to take it on a couple road trips, maybe spend some time focusing on the aesthetics, get this paint job all fixed up. I'm crossing my fingers, knocking on wood, any kind of superstitious thing I can think of, I have to do it. So what do you think I should do next with this vehicle? Let me know in the comments below. If you like this video, please consider subscribing and hitting that bell icon. And if you want to help support the channel, please buy a Hello Road t-shirt at helloroad.tv/shop. I have a broken Ford Probe t-shirt there that you might like. All right, I hope you're well, and I'll see you soon.
Are you ready for your driving lessons? Mom, okay, lesson number 1. The new Ford Probe has been completely redesigned with a new sleek look. Mom, the inside is all new with more leg and headroom. She never listens to me. And under the hood is a tough new 2.5-liter V6. Mom, I know all about the new Ford Probe. I just asked for the keys. And lesson number 2 is, I'll drive.